Have you ever come to the realization in your adult life that something you adored as a child turned out to be very mediocre, even borderline bad? Well, that happened to me with one of my favorite franchises, Gauntlet. It's been a series that I've loved since childhood, or at least I thought I did. I played Gauntlet Legends for the N64 and then eventually Dark Legacy for the Xbox, and really enjoyed these titles. Even to this day, I could pop in Dark Legacy and have fun, but it isn't a very good game. I never really tried the older titles until much later. The original Gauntlet and some of the subsequent releases are only fun for about 10 minutes for me, and that's even with friends. They are hard, repetitive, and arcade games made for short bursts at a time. I played through Dark Legacy recently with my friends and learned just how broken and not optimized for multiplayer that game really is. I mean, of course I still had fun playing through it, but its flaws really ooze through the cracks. Then I played Gauntlet 7 Sorrows, and that game is awful. It should not even be considered a Gauntlet game, and was pretty much the downfall and the killer of the Gauntlet IP. It was boring as hell with very little to do, being the longest 4-ish hours of my life. I've slowly been repudiating the series as a whole, hesitating to call myself a fan nowadays. No, I'm not embarrassed by the Gauntlet series, it's just not very good despite how much I like Dark Legacy. I like one mediocre game in the series, and that's pretty much all I can say at this point. With Warner Brothers owning Midway and the Gauntlet IP, they decided to try and reboot the series in 2014. Mind you, 7 Sorrows came out in 2005, so the series has been dead for almost a decade at this point. A reboot that obviously failed because we haven't seen another Gauntlet game since. It's 2022. Almost another decade has passed by with not a single Gauntlet game on the horizon. Before I completely suffocate my inner Gauntlet fandom, I figured I would play this one final Gauntlet game and then put this illustrious roller coaster of a life this series has had to bed. The newest Gauntlet, almost a decade old at this point, is supposed to pay homage to the originals in the series and play more like the classic arcade games. It's geared more towards the original Gauntlet fans, which is definitely not a bad thing because I would argue most gamers from the newer generations have no idea what in the Roblox a Gauntlet even is. Gauntlet 2014 Reboot, or Slayer Edition as some may know it as, was developed by Arrowhead Studios and published by Warner Brothers. Arrowhead is a Swedish indie development company that created games such as Magica, The Shadow Effect, and Helldivers. They developed the Gauntlet Reboot and released it on September 23, 2014. Well, putting all the critics and user reviews aside, I decided to team up with some friends to finish this gauntlet of mediocre Gauntlet games to see if Gauntlet 2014 Reboot is as mid-way as everyone says it is. That is a bad joke. Sticking true to the classics with 4 characters to choose from: a brutish warrior, a Scottish elf, the female Valkyrie that surprisingly isn't naked, and the sagacious wizard who is also kind of a dick. All 4 characters play pretty differently, giving each player in the party a different experience and role to fill. The warrior and the Valkyrie play like typical hack and slash, as well as being the tanks of the party. The archer is quick and plays like a twin-stick shooter. Apparently the wizard is too hard to figure out and no one picks him. Shout out to Brigham for taking one for the team. There can't be multiple of each character, so online matches will end up having only 3 party members because the wizard bad. There's also a Necromancer DLC character you can pay for, but I didn't want to, because I don't care. The game definitely plays like classic Gauntlet, with its simple dungeon crawling gameplay. You explore each level going from room to room, killing hordes of monsters and stealing gold, food, and potions from each other. The game is incredibly repetitive, and that's even with the procedurally generated dungeons. The best part about the game for me was playing with my friends. It was mostly a race to treasure to see who could be the biggest dick at the end of each level. Excuse me, the greatest whore.
This is what is known as isometric.
Is it? I would say this is more top-down.
Yes.
Sky's the greediest whore.
At times, it would get super chaotic and make for some really funny moments, whether you were stealing all the gold from everyone or accidentally destroying food that Red Warrior needs badly.
Hey, you guys! You're not letting me move!
Oh no!
On.
No! You're all that's left, Macy! Stay alive! Stay alive!
You're dancing with death.
A wiener, Mr. Mage.
Oh! They just killed you in cold blood! It didn't even bat an eye! Alexa, stop. It can get quite stressful, because instead of a number that represents your health, you have a health bar and have shared lives amongst the party. There are skull coins, which are the lives. Killing things increases this meter, and once filled, adds another life to the party. To respawn, you just spam A and hope you are the one that comes back if multiple people are dead. The game isn't too difficult, but there are difficult sections that we had a hard time getting past. Gauntlet 2014 lacks enemy variety in my opinion. You mostly fight just average enemies that walk slow and attack. You do encounter bomb guys, mages, bigger tank-like enemies, a lich ghost thing, and a Kaka demon, but those encounters are few and far in between the generic cannon fodder that you do fight. There are boss fights too that weren't terrible, some cool designs to be had. Death is also back, but you can't kill it, you just have to outrun it in certain stages. If it touches you, you die instantly. I like death better when it would steal health, or worse, XP, like in Dark Legacy. Losing experience was far worse than dying. Very lame and frustrating in this title. Collect keys to open doors, potions act like grenades, and there are also secret walls you can blow up with bomb barrels. There isn't much to really discover though. The level designs are very linear, which is pretty fitting for the Gauntlet series, but takes away any exploration other titles had. The original Gauntlets had different exits that would take you to later levels in the game. Gauntlet Dark Legacy had tons of secrets and lots of items and things to uncover. Gauntlet 2014 has golden turkey behind walls. The level designs and aesthetics didn't really stand out to me aside from the more gimmick levels like when it would get really dark or Big Daddy Death was chasing us. There are tons of levels to play through, but they all feel about the same. The gold you collect can be spent on some power-ups and character customization, but you aren't given much money, especially if you have a greedy whore teammate, plus your money gets spent quickly because everything is expensive. There are several different power-ups to get that all do various things, from summoning fighters to help fight, to throwing a whirlwind, to freezing enemies. One thing I wish they had were items to spend money on that you can use in combat like in Dark Legacy. That being said, I don't think the classics had usable items aside from potions. As previously mentioned, there is minimal character customization, but it is there. You can buy different helmets, which for my character, the warrior, were kind of badass. There were different axes or full body outfits, all super expensive though. There wasn't really any RPG elements or leveling up, just get money to buy things, and if you don't get money because your wizard is a greedy bastard, that's just too bad. There are also challenges you can do to get gold as well, so not all hope is lost. Some of these are pretty funny, like dive from traps, blow up food, break things, and many more that you casually complete over time. There is the drop-in, drop-out feature, which is nice. You don't have to restart a level if somebody has Taco Bell demons that they need to exorcise into the wild at a moment's notice. Some of the dialogue between characters can be super hilarious or just downright annoying, and the game constantly feels the need to remind you that you are dying if your health is low. The story is pretty bad. It's very basic and boring, along with the last cutscene feeling very unfinished. Yes! Yes! Goodbye, Morak!
Yeah.
After all this time, I refuse to die here.
Look at Dane.
Yeah,
He's just standing there.
I died.
No! It's a Darth Vader scream.
Wait, it didn't
That's
even.
it? Where's the cutscene?
You didn't even get a cutscene?
No! Where's our bloody cutscene? What?
What? Just straight to credits.
What the frick? Once again, I reiterate the fact that no one plays Gauntlet for the story, but having one could be nice for once. Gauntlet 2014 overall isn't a terrible game. It was definitely made for the classic fans of the series, which is cool. Honestly, I don't ever see myself playing this one again. It's very repetitive with not much replayability, and it was really only fun for me because I got to play with my friends, and we were just dicks to each other the entire time. As far as a Gauntlet game goes, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. But as far as a dungeon crawler goes, I'd probably have to give it a 5 out of 10. It's fun with friends once. Not much here to keep someone like me playing, but if you're a classic fan, this is right up your alley. Yeah, Gauntlet 2014's pretty mid. Way. But that leaves me with so many questions. What happened to Midway? What happened to the series? Will we ever get another Gauntlet game? Is the series really dead? Are dungeon crawlers outdated? Well, let's start with what happened to the series. Nothing. And that's why it's declined over the years, because we as gamers have played better dungeon crawling games that has advanced the genre. I recently played through Diablo 3, and my god, was that meth for someone who likes dungeon crawlers and RPGs. Another one that I recently played that is probably my favorite dungeon crawler at this point is called Darksiders Genesis, which is a marriage of dungeon crawlers and puzzle games at its finest. No, dungeon crawlers aren't dead, Gauntlet just never did anything to advance the series and genre as a whole. Gauntlet peaked for me with Dark Legacy, and in retrospect, that's not a very good game. Yikes. Seven Sorrows drove the stake through the heart of the Gauntlet series, and it really hasn't recovered since then. The 2014 reboot just wasn't enough, and Warner Bros. Don't look like they have any plans of doing anything with the IP anytime soon. I couldn't tell you any sales for any of the Gauntlet games because I couldn't find anything in my search other than one website claims that Gauntlet has sold over 1 million copies for the PC, which I still don't really fully understand what they're talking about, but there's that, I guess. It's probably hard to figure out the sales numbers because all these games, save 2014, released for both arcade cabinets and home consoles. As far as what happened to Midway, well, in a nutshell, Midway was a gaming titan at one time, literally plastering their logo on any game they could get their hands on, and yes, there were some bangers in there. Pac-Man, Spy Hunter, Rampage, Mortal Kombat, Gauntlet, NBA Jam, Killer Instinct, War Gods, Area 51, Doom 64, NFL Blitz, Quake, and many others. But that also proved to be their downfall. They just hoard out money to anything and everything, so for every banger they had, they were also dumping money into actual trash fires. At this point, the last thing that I could find that Midway was a part of was Wheelman in 2009, which yes, was a duker according to critics and sales, along with the movie starring Vin Diesel never getting greenlit as of 2022 that was announced back in 2006. Midway dominated the arcade era, but had a rough go at the home consoles. With bad money practices and who the hell knows what else may have been going on behind the scenes, eventually filed for bankruptcy. If you want to know more details about Midway, check out this great video by Matt McMuscles. I'm disappointed to say that I really think that the Gauntlet series is dead. I want to be hopeful, but I just decided to face reality with this one. The games just aren't that good, and no one really cares about the Gauntlet series anymore, except for a niche group of fans, like myself, which I can really only say I care for Dark Legacy. I would love for there to be an absolute banger of a Gauntlet game out there for me to play, but it's probably not going to happen. Who knows, maybe this video will age like milk, and Gauntlet will be back better than ever in a few years. That would be cool. But you know what else would be cool? If you would subscribe to our YouTube channel. I've heard from some viewers that when they subscribed, they got big peepees. One viewer said she instantly won the lottery. You just may have good luck for an entire year when you subscribe. If you enjoy this content and want to further support us, we do have a store where you can purchase some merchandise, and or you can subscribe to our Patreon for lots of behind the scenes content, extra podcasts, movie watch-alongs, and much, much more. Thank you for watching and supporting. It's always appreciated. And as always, keep it rad.